and a boy stand on the deck of one of the 3 ships that left England on December 20th, 1606. The ships are carrying 4 boys and over 100 men to the New World.
Is there any sign of land?
Not so far.
We had better get there soon. Our food and water supplies are running dangerously low.
And we need to find land in time to plant the crops. 6 weeks on sea without wind destroyed our schedule.
How has John Smith done?
As well as can be expected, considering the boat is in shackles and chains.
Captain Newport had to contain him. To talk in mutiny was too dangerous.
But nobody knows for sure that he was planning on mutiny.
Are you questioning Captain Judgment Boy? Must I remind you that Virginia Company put Captain Newport in charge of this expedition until we reach the New World? You are but a child. Leave these men.
I beg your pardon, sir. It's just that there's talk of hanging John Smith as soon as we reach shore.
Well, he won't be executed if I have anything to say about it. He's the type of man that we will need in our unknown land full of savages.
Even if he lives, I doubt he'll be any use in our venture.
On April 26, 1607, land is finally sighted. The men used smaller boats to explore the James River. They named it in honor of British King James I.
It's time to open the sealed box to find out who is in charge of this colony.
The list names 6 aristocrats, with Edward Wingfield as the president of the council. The last name shocks everyone.
John Smith? There must be some mistake.
Smith is not an aristocrat. He's a soldier. How can he help govern this colony?
He has experience in dangerous and difficult situations. During the Long War, he was captured and made slave, but he killed his master and escaped on foot across Russia till he reunited with his regiment. John Smith is a bold man and a survivor.
I refuse to allow him on the council. If it weren't for Captain Newport defending him, we would have had to take lands in the West Indies. I'll have no criminal on my account.
Keep him out. You can't be trusted. He's what I say, or remove the day. You heard of Captain Smith. He's not like us. He can't be trusted. No mutiny, no just unclear of Captain Smith. He's rough and cruel. He can't be trusted. Let this land, this savage man. Beware of Captain Smith. No counsel for him. He can't be trusted. I'll find the source and stop this course. Beware of Captain Smith.
The settlers choose a site for the colony before John Smith comes ashore. The area is a swamp. When John Smith is shown sight, he is very upset.
This is not a good site for our settlement. We cannot survive on the river water. It's brackish. We need to settle someplace where there's a freshwater supply nearby.
You don't know what we're talking about. Just say first beside don't ask for your opinion.
We need to make sharp one stakes and use them to build a strong fort.
What for? The Indians we have met are very pleasant. Besides, you don't have any kind of ways from building a fort. We're sure to find the New World riches, and those that do shall share in the wealth.
We need to plant our crops right away, so we'll have food this winter.
You go ahead, Captain. I got some questions to do.
On May 26th, Indians attack Jamestown. 2 colonists are killed, and 10 are injured. An arrow pierces the beard of Jamestown president Edward Wingfield.
John Smith was right when he said we need a fort.
Yes, so he was. I guess we'll invite him to join the council.
John Smith shares his ideas, and this time the men listen.
We need to stop seeking treasure. We need to plant our crops and build sturdy homes.
Who's going to do those things? I'm never any farmers or laborers with us. Few of us know how to fish, farm, or build. Indeed, such laborers beneath our social status.
Hunger and cold care not about social status, as you'll discover come this winter.
The investors of the Union Company funded this venture, and they said nothing about printing, or building. They hired us to find gold, and King James I ordered us to fire taxes to the South States. Those were our priorities, Captain Smith.
In the summer of 1607, many of the settlers died from malaria spread by mosquito bites. By the end of September, only 38 men are alive.
We're lucky to have you, Captain Smith. And we wouldn't be alive if it weren't for you. And now you tell us you've learned some of the Indians' language. I had no choice but to learn how to communicate with the Indians. I'll have to do a lot of trading with them to get enough food for us to survive until next spring. But for right now, we need to improve our flimsy shelters before the the snow begins to fall.
How can we do that when so many of us are sick and dying? We can barely keep up with providing each man with a proper grave.
By December 1607, the colonists are starving, yet the men just wait for a supply ship from England. Only John Smith and a few others hunt and fish for food.
We can wait no longer. I'm going up the river to talk with the Indians. We need to find some food before we all perish.
But what if the Indians won't trade with you?
Then I'll take the food from them if I must.
Please take me with you, Captain Smith.
No, this could be dangerous. We still can't tell the difference between friendly Indians and hostile ones until the arrows start flying.
All right, Captain Smith, take 2 men with you and get some food.
I swear that I'll bring back food, even if I must trade the shirt off my back. However, I refuse to trade our weapons, for we will be sorry if the Indians ever get a hold of our muskets or cannons.
John convinces the Indians from several nearby villages to trade some of their corn for glass beads. Then the men sail up to James. As they step ashore, a group of braves surprises them. They kill John Smith's companions. He is taken hostage and marched to the greatest leader in the area, Powhatan.
Greetings. My name is John Smith.
Powhatan
sirs.
marvels at Smith's boldness. Powhatan is the head of 30 tribes yet. This pale man shows no fear and dares to ask his name. A young female Indian speaks to John Smith.
My father is Powhatan, the greatest Werewolf. All the other Werewolves answer him. Every person in his land pays him a homage, and you must do as well.
Powhatan's name is Wahasanaka, but few people may speak this name.
Where am I?
Werewokomoko. My father lives here with his many wives and all of his children. There are more than 30 of us.
And who are you?
You can call me Pocahontas.
She tells him her nickname. Only her family members know her real name, Watakawa. The Indians believe that if a person knows your real name, he may work evil charms against you.
What are you doing on our land?
Our ships were blown off course during a storm.
Do you intend to stay?
No, we're just stranded here until a ship returns to take us home.
That explains why you're so unprepared for survival.
Why do you say that?
Our braves have been watching your village and reporting to him that the members of the tribe can't take care of themselves. You have little food and poor shelter. Many are dead.
It is true that we have had some problems. I have come here in the hopes of making trade for corn.
You're completely out of food?
Almost.
Powhatan thinks that these insect hungry men pose no threat. And now that he knows that they plan to leave, he decides to befriend them.
What do you want to do with this man, my father?
Powhatan thinks that John Smith is the leader of Jamestown. As such, Smith is dragged to a huge stone and forced to lay his head on it. 2 men stand over him and lift up their clubs over his head. He closes his eyes, convinced he's about to die. Suddenly, he feels a cool cheek pressed against his own.
Now you're my brother, my countryman, forever!
What?
Powhatan tells his men to free Smith. After this, Powhatan adopts Smith as his son.
Your old life is over. You are now my father's son, and I am your sister. Powhatan will feed your people this winter, just as he will do for any of his tribes in need.
That sounds wonderful. I am so grateful to you for saving my life.
Powhatan says you should stay. My father wants to know more about your people. Also, as the werewolves of his newest tribe, we must pay him tribute.
What does Powhatan want for his tribute?
Some of our braves saw you blast the tree to pieces with a thunderstick. Powhatan wants 3 of them. Also, he wants 3 of the fire sticks your people have used to kill people in nearby tribes.
We have no fire sticks to spare. However, we would gladly give Powhatan 2 thundersticks.
After 4 weeks with Powhatan, John Smith returns to Jamestown with a group of braves. Powhatan's braves can move neither the cannon nor the grindstone. They leave to report the bad news to Powhatan. The moment the braves leave Jamestown, Adam Bloomfield grabs John Smith.
John Smith, I'm placing you under arrest for murder.
Murder? What are you saying? John Smith
responsible for the men under his command. They are dead, and it's all his fault. I think the tyrant was murdered.
This is insanity! Indians attacked those men. John Smith didn't kill them. He's lucky to have survived.
That's what they claim to have happened.
Edward Wingfield convinces others of John Smith's guilt, and he is sentenced to hang.
Look, I see sails on the horizon.
It must be the supply ships. Hurry!
On January 4th, a ship arrives with 8 new colonists and a great deal of food. All of the food is put into the town's storehouse. In the excitement, John Smith's execution is temporarily forgotten.
1 week of the new year is done.
With all the food and new people, this year will be a lot better than last year.
Fire! Fire! Grab buckets. Grab buckets of spring water.
Since every man is needed to fight the fire, John Smith is free. But the storehouse and most of the village burns to the ground. The colonists' future looks bleak.
Pocahontas, I'm very glad to see you. And I am to see you too, John. We saw the smoke and sent our braves. They told us about your terrible fire. But do not worry. We have brought your people food. But where do all these people come from?
They arrived on the ship just before the fire.
They brought much food with them, but it all burned in the fire. You told Powhatan that you would leave when the ships came. Instead, there are more people, and there are more people, and it appears as if you're going to stay permanently. I am not the leader and do not make the decisions. My father believes that you are, and he does not appreciate lies. Pocahontas, little sister, please don't be angry. Look here, I have some beautiful beads I've been saving just for you.
In spite of Powhatan's suspicions that he had lied to by John Smith, he keeps his promise and feeds the colonists until the spring of 1608.
I am fed up with Edward Wingfield and the rest of the council. The only reason we're still alive is because the Indians feed us. I don't want to be dependent on them any longer.
Most of these men have no acquaintance with work, and even less an idea about what it will take to make this colony a success. At the very least, we could fish for something to eat. May I go fishing with you, Captain Smith? Yes, indeed. Let's go. We'll meet Pocahontas there.
While fishing, John Smith is stung by a stingray and almost dies. When he regains consciousness, he eats the stingray. When Pocahontas tells Powhatan about this, he believes that Captain John Smith is a great and powerful man. Powhatan knows of no one else who has survived the stingray's poison.
I'm tired of this. The only thing these fools are interested in is striking it rich. Here we are, wasting yet another summer searching for silver and gold.
I don't care for silver and gold, for neither will fill my stomach this winter. Riches will do us no good if we're dead from starvation.
At last, the members of Jamestown realize that something must be done soon, or they will starve in the coming winter.
I'm so glad that we threw Edward Wingfield off the council.
Yes, the best thing we've done so far is elect John Smith as the council president.
This happened on September 10, 1608. John Smith calls a meeting of all members of the colony.
It is now illegal to search for gold or silver. Our top priorities are food and shelter. Unless everyone works, we shall surely starve. He who will not work shall not eat. I will assign each of you a job, and if you refuse to do it, you will be left on the other side of the river.
Some men were foolish enough to defy John Smith. He did what he promised and left them to die on the other side of the river. Chief Powhatan admired John Smith's leadership because he had made the colonists work.
Captain John Smith gave each person a job, and he worked hard himself. We cleared, plowed, and planted fields. We strengthened the forts, walls, and built sturdier homes. He was the only real leader we ever had.
You gotta work for a living, yes sir. You gotta work for a living every day. You gotta work for a living, yes sir. Everybody pays their way. Money don't grow from nothing. Money don't grow on trees. Unless you were born on a wealthy morn, you better get right down on your knees. Gotta work for a living, yes sir. You gotta work for a living every day. You gotta work for a living, yes sir. Everybody pays their way. It's always good to work for something. It's always good to have a dream. Though you might be looking at trouble, you're not always quite as hard as it seems. You gotta work for a living, yes sir. You gotta work for a living every day. You gotta work for a living, yes sir. Everybody pays their way.
Just 1 year after assuming leadership of the colony, a bag of gunpowder blew up in John Smith's lap. He returned to England to recuperate. Sadly, he never saw Virginia again, and the Jamestown colony nearly collapsed after it lost its guidance.